Hello and welcome to Panda Travels vlog number 5. We made it to number 5. We're starting this vlog off in Thessaloniki. Can you believe I've just had to film that 7 times just to be able to say that correct? Thessaloniki. So I've been walking around Thessaloniki for about 35 minutes now. Where I wanted to go today and we're apart, about 2 miles apart. So I didn't want to just pick up the camera straight away and start shooting. I kind of wanted to get a feel for the land, if that makes sense. So when I have a little walk around, get a feel of what the vibe's like and kind of take it from there, because where I parked and where I've had to walk isn't very nice, and I'll show you guys on the way back. As you can see, I'm not wearing my trademark black. No, it is way too hot for that. Like it's got to be in the low to mid 40s today, and there is no shade at all. So my suggestion to you guys, if ever you come to Greece during the summer, stick yourself in a cruise gear. Don't be rushing around. If something says it's going to be a 40-minute walk, take 50. So we're all just stood here waiting to see if that guy over there has caught himself a fish. And I gotta say, I am super invested. And so is everybody else. Come on, buddy, you got this. You've got an audience now, you're gonna have to. Come on now. It's unfortunate. Maybe next time. So after that letdown, which was very unfortunate, I honestly thought that a Saturday it would be open and booming, but it's not. So instead we're going to have a walk over to the Rotunda, which is another historical building, and we're going to figure out if it's open or not, and then we're going to hopefully explore it. But we'll see, because it said online that the White Tower was open, but it's not. So I've stepped into a supermarket. Don't even particularly want to buy anything, I'm just trying to get out the sun. Don't know if you can see, but I am absolutely rinsed. It's so hot outside, I can't even tell you. But it's already 3:30. And places close at like 5-6 o'clock, so I also need to kind of get a move on to get this place done. I don't even know if you can all hear me because the traffic is absolutely nuts here. But I did end up getting myself a little Powerade because I was in that shop for a while, and I was like, realistically I should buy something. So €1.80 something. Now up to yet, from what I've experienced, the prices in Greece aren't that different from the prices at home, you know, in euros at least. I mean, diesel, for example, is like €1.83, which is like £1.60, which is about normal for home. So prices aren't that different so far, but I'm in a city centre, so hopefully we go a bit more rural. It might get a bit cheaper, or when we go south it might go cheaper, who knows. This is the Ark of Galerius, which was built in 303 AC. Sorry, 303 CE, which was built in 303 CE. Craftsmanship is incredible. Like the details are insane. Well, we made it to the rotunda, and this is as close as I can get to it, because as like the last place, it is also closed. So even though it says online that it's open, I'm guessing everywhere's closed for the weekend. What a shame, I'm having terrible luck. I'm gonna call it quits here, as I've got a feeling every historical place that I want to visit is going to be closed. Which is really weird. Google says that they're all open, but we're 0 for 2 today. One little kitty. Got 2 and 3 kitties just over there. Public footpath, and you got like a Harley Davidson driving up right past you. So it is now 20 past 1, and I've only just woken up, as you can probably tell from my eyes. So travelling around today is kind of written off. There's a place that I want to take us next, but it's about a 4.5 hour drive. And it's too hot. It is so hot. I mean, I woke up today and, you know, I must have lost about 3 stone in sweat. It is just unexplainable. But it doesn't mean that we can't do anything today. So I've got to park up about 1.5 hours away. We're going to go back to the beach because I want to get in the sea again before we start with more inland Greece. But then there's a job that I need to get on with. So since buying this van, I've had a leak in the roof. It sounds pretty bad. It's not too bad. It's just a little drip here and there. But I've never been able to figure out where it was coming from. And I thought it was the roof vent, and I resealed it like 6 times. Turns out it's not the roof vent. Turns out just above my head in the driver's side, underneath the roof skin, is a little bit of rust, and the water's getting through there. So I've not looked on the roof yet to see where it kind of meets up the top, but it could be, I mean, the water could be dripping down from anywhere and running down to that area. So in the next 2 days we're going to get a thunderstorm. 2 days ago there was a thunderstorm, and it rained so heavily that it literally started just dripping all over me, coming through the roof. And I was like, okay, the rain here is different to the rain at home. It rains super heavy, but only for like 15 minutes and it buggers off. So with a thunderstorm possibly coming in 2 days time, I kind of want to seal up this hole. I've looked online, and about 15 minutes away is a hardware store, and we're going to go in there today and we're going to try and buy the bits that we need so I can seal up this hole in the roof. Hopefully you guys are able to see this, but there is some tape on the roof there. That's what I've tried to do to solve it for the time being, but it is not working. So that's where the leak's coming from, and that's what we're going to try and fix today. We're going to head back into Thessaloniki now, about a 15-minute drive, pick up hopefully some sort of sealer, some sort of like sealer gun, and hopefully some gloves, because I do not want to get it on my fingers. What could be? Come on now, bring me a higher love, bring me a higher love. Whoa. It is coming at me thick and fast today. I don't know how much of this you can see, but surely you can see what the sky looks like. So I've just parked up, put some tea on, was about to eat something, have something to drink. I got a text from the Greek government saying there is an orange alert for a thunderstorm coming your way. I've never had a text for weather before, but then I realised, I was like, oh hang on, I've not got round to actually filling up, fixing my roof. This is something that I was going to fill you all in on tomorrow, but now I'm going to have to do it now. I went to the shop, got something, and then the whole day got away from me. So now I've just, whilst cooking my tea, had to rush around with this glue stuff, putting it on my van, and the guy said it takes about 2 hours to harden. So fingers crossed it holds off for another 2 hours. Even if I can get 90 minutes, that'll be enough. This stuff seems really sticky. And I've just filled the hole and the area and really just lathered it on, so hopefully it'll stop any water from coming through my roof. But yeah, this has been a day. But not a very nice one, if I'm honest with you. I feel like if I'd just stayed where I was this morning, everything would be alright. But anywho, here we are.
Story time, story time.
Okay, so a couple of days ago I was in Thessaloniki, and you guys would have seen this earlier on in the video, but for me it's 3-4 days later. So earlier on in the day I'd filled up about €40 worth of fuel. As I'm driving out of Thessaloniki, I'm in the left-hand lane, and there's a Shell garage on my right, which means I have to cut across one lane of traffic to get in quite quickly. And for some reason, I just thought to myself, I could probably do with a little bit more fuel. I don't know how far I'm going to travel tonight. I'm not sure. I'm going to go to the shop, get some food because I've not eaten, and then go wherever I was going. So I kind of get my foot down. The woman in the other lane didn't take off in the same time I did, so I got over nice and easy. I pull into this Shell garage and I pull up to the pump and I take I take my fuel cap out, I take the diesel hose, I put it in, and then this young lad takes the corner and he says something in Greek to me. I was like, he's like, oh, you English? I was like, yes. He goes, oh, I pump your fuel for you. I was like, oh, okay, I mean, I don't mind doing it myself. He's like, no, I have to pump the fuel. I was like, okay. So we get to chatting. Just simple chit chat, but he was telling me in Greece, he was like, you don't ever pump your own fuel. It's not, in other countries you do it, over in Greece you never touch the fuel pump. It's just not the done thing. I was like, okay, well, why is that? And he said basically it's the security system where in other countries like the UK, Germany, France, if you put €80 worth of fuel in and then you take off, within 100 metres, police have got you. CCTV everywhere, they're all hooked up. He said in Greece, it's not the case. Even if, he said, I had your license plate, I knew where you were staying, and I was looking right at you, and I phoned the police, they ain't going to do anything. He said there's just not enough resources to do it. Which makes sense. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I was like, so in Italy, when they pump the fuel for you, so they charge you for doing it because you've got like fuel yourself or let them fuel you up. Now I didn't know this when I was in Italy, and I got stung for a lot of money. Like a full tank of fuel in Italy that day was like €160, which was, I got absolutely rinsed. They must have known I was a tourist, and yeah, €160. But what am I going to do there? I said no, like that's the issue. So I said to him, do you charge for the fuel? He's like, no. Well, why? So I explained. He's like, that's crazy. He's like, no, I get paid for the garage to come do the job. I do the receipts and I do this and I do that. So it's just part of the service. I was like, oh, that's actually quite nice. I mean, that for me reminded me of like old 1950s America. You pull up, the guy fuels your car, wipes your windscreen. I was like, that's quite nice, to be fair. And if I'm honest with you, since this conversation, I've had really nice conversations with the people that come and fuel up the van. Like literally 20 minutes ago, before I started videoing this, I fueled up the van a little bit. And he wouldn't stop calling me sir, and I was like, that's really, really nice. Like, it's just humbling, just a really nice experience. Right, Dad, if you're watching this, either skip over it, or if you're gonna watch it, I am safe and fine, and everything works out for the best. Okay, so that's just, yeah. Don't be messaging me saying that I'm stupid. Okay, okay. So this is your warning. If you're gonna listen to it, you can't message me. If you're not gonna listen to it, then you'll never know. Okay. I go and pay for my fuel. And on my way out, I was thinking to myself, I had such a good conversation with this lad. I might go and quickly speak to him and say, can I talk about you in my vlog? Because this is the whole point of my travelling, was to meet new people, talk to new people. So as I come out, I look to the left, and he's in a car, and he waves, and I walk up to him. I was like, oh, hey, look, I've got a vlog, and, you know, I want to talk about you. Is that all right? And he's like, oh, my God, yeah, of course. He gets out the van, he gets out the car, he adds me on my social medias, he adds me on YouTube, and I was like, what's your name, brother? And he's like, Lucas. And I was like, all right, well, I'm Gage. And he says, oh, my friend here, Irakles. So I shake his hand, and suddenly we're all having a conversation. And these two lads are 19 years old, and they were just asking me questions about how do we make money? How do we better our lives because we want to leave Greece? Now this I found so interesting, because this is the real Greece now. This is real Greek people, not your tourists. This is real life. So, super long conversation short, we were just talking about the politics of Greece and the way things are for young people, and, you know, is there any help from the government? What's day-to-day life like? And I really started to understand, like, outside of the tourist areas, what mainland Greece is all about. And it's a little bit sad. It is a little bit sad. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is just two accounts from two young people, but these two young people are stood in front of me talking to me. So this is the story I'm getting from them. And it's okay. Lucas said something which really stuck with me, and he said, we love our country, but they make us hate it. And I was like, that's very powerful. That is so powerful. So the long and the short of it is, there isn't much for young people to do here as far as work. You go and work in a factory, or you work in tourism, or you work in a restaurant, and it's all low paying. Now, both Lucas and Irakles had degrees in computer science, but yet Irakles was saying that when he goes for job interviews, there's no junior roles. It's just, you need to have all this experience. So he'll say, well, I'm only 19. They're like, well, you've got to go and get this experience. How's he supposed to get the experience when he can't get the job to get the experience? It's just an endless circle. So you kind of end up being locked into these low-paying jobs. And these two young guys are just saying, we don't want to, we're trying to think of ways of getting out and, you know, becoming better versions of ourselves. And they were talking about basically buying a boat. And I thought, it's a really good idea. Why not? Like, you're talking to a guy who lives in a van full time. Like, I'm all up for this type of thing. I'll talk about it all day. So after about 2 hours, we stood outside this fuel station for about 2 hours chatting, shooting the breeze. I got on with them really well. They were just two kind of humble, real life lads. And we got to talking about, like, what's a young person's day-to-day life. And they basically said, you know, we get up, we go to work, we finish work, we go hang out with our friends. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So this is the part, right? This part of the story. They say to me, do you want to go and drink a cigarette? I don't know what that means. So Lucas says to me, oh, if you actually smoke cigarettes, you smoke a cigarette. But if you drink a cigarette, you're doing something else. Now, I can't specifically tell you what that other thing is. If you're catching my vibe, shame on you. go and say 10 Hail Marys. If you're not catching my vibe, you're pure, stay pure. Good for you. So I just got a really good vibe from these two guys that I'd met 2 hours ago at a fuel station. And I was like, yeah, I'll go drink a cigarette with you. So he's like, cool, do you want to follow me to my house? And then I'll get changed, have a shower, and then we'll go somewhere and chill. And I was like, sounds good. So drive to his house. I'm still with Heracles. Heracles says, look, do you just want to leave your van here? Because where we're going, your van's probably not going to make it up the hill. And if I'm honest with you, it sounds so shady. It sounds so shady. But I just got a really good vibe from these guys. I was like, yeah, sound, no problems. I was like, what's the worst that can happen? So Lucas rocks up in the car. I get in the passenger seat. Off we go. And we start climbing this mountain. And we're getting further and further away from like civilization. And he says to me on the drive up, he's like, if you'd gone to East Thessaloniki, you would have had the more touristy side of things. You would have had like, you know, nightclubs and people with kind of money. He said, but you're on the west side now. So this is like the real Greece. And he was like, so you hanging out with us, you're seeing what the real Greeks do. And when he said that, I was like, this is kind of why I came on this trip. This is exactly what I discussed before I left. This is what I wanted to do. The entire time we're climbing this mountain, Lucas is saying to me, look, brother, if you're feeling uncomfortable and you don't trust us, I get it. Just throw your hands up and say, and we'll take you back to your van. There's no messing around here. We're not them types of people. We're not going to hurt you. We're not going to steal from you. But at the same time, we completely understand that we are two strangers and we're driving you up a mountain. So, boys, if you're watching this, I love you both. These two young lads, basically, they were saying that they love the country, but the country makes it hard for them to live, and they want to move away. And it's kind of a catch-22 situation. But then they said something, and this is because, you know, they're talking to me. I'm from the UK. I'm traveling all over Europe. I have a pretty good job, and they might think the grass is greener on the other side. But I wanted to try and point out to them the good things in Greece. Now, one of the things that I didn't realise was, in Greece, you see your friends every single day. Every single day. Now, I was explaining to him, I was like, you know, I got two really, really good friends in my life. Joe and Randy. Shout out to you guys. It takes like 3 months' notice to get everybody together. All three of us to get us together would take like 3 months' notice, even though we only lived like 20 minutes apart. Because of the way UK life is, and you're working and your shifts, and you're tired, and you don't get weekends off. You get 1 day off, 3 days in, 1 day off. Do you know what I mean? It's just constant. Where in Greece, they finish work and they go and hang out with their friends. So I was like, okay, that in itself's pretty cool. I was like, you know, what do you do when you're hanging out with your friends? He's like, oh, we just sit and talk and, you know, drink or smoke some cigarettes or drink some cigarette, all this and that. I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, you never get your phone out. I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, if you get your phone out, he said, you will get rinsed for it. Now, I found that interesting because I was like, well, you hang out all day after work every day. He's like, yeah. I was like, but you can't go on your phone. Like, unless you're showing a video or you're playing a game with the rest of the group, no. Because if you have time to go on your phone, whatever better things you've got going on your phone, go and do somewhere else. Now that, I was like, that is a culture difference right there. Because everybody in the UK is constantly on their phone. But the entire time I hung out with these guys, aside from phone calls, phones were never out. And I loved that. And I didn't get on my phone. Because I was like, this is what I enjoy. I like this. It's human connection at its finest. So he says to me, look, we got to get going. I got stuff to do. I was like, okay, no stress. And he's like, my friends are further down the hill. Do you mind if we just go and quickly meet up with them? I'll, you know, do what I need to do, come back to the van, and then come back to the car, and then we'll go. I was like, yeah, sound, no problems. So he pulls up, and it's pretty night time at this point. We're still in the forests. I'm sat in the front seat, and you got to bear in mind, I'm wearing like a white and black. That shirt that you saw earlier in the video, I'm wearing that. That's the shirt I'm wearing, like I'm going to Wimbledon. And I sat in the van going, sat in the car going, there's no way these guys aren't going to see this rather large white object sat in the car with a ginger beard who doesn't look Greek at all. And then Lucas starts walking back to the car, and I hear these guys shouting stuff at him. And he's kind of laughing, and I just got this feeling. I was like, okay, they know I'm here. Lucas gets in the car and he goes, "Oh, my friends want to meet you. Is that all right?" And I was like, "There's quite a lot of them now." Now, I said to him, yeah, that's fine, whatever you want to do. He's like, no, what do you want to do? He's like, if you don't want to meet them, we'll go. Now, I didn't want to say no and then have to drive past all of these people in case they didn't like that. And then they made sure that they let me know that they didn't, you know, why won't you say hello to us? So in my head, I'm like, right, I've got myself into this situation. The worst that can happen is this. But then the best that can be happening is they're actually really good guys. So I said to him, yeah, let's have a chat for a bit. So we pull up, I get out the car, Heracles and Lucas are shaking hands, speaking Greek. I'm kind of stood there and I've suddenly got like 6 to 8 people all just kind of looking at me. And I was like, okay, this is I got a little bit shaky. I was like, okay, I'm very, you know, I'm very outnumbered here. And I don't know what's going to happen. Lucas kept saying to me, they're all stand-up guys. I was like, yeah, that's fine. But, you know, I am, again, a tourist. And my longest friends in this group, I met 2.5 hours ago. Of course you're going to be on edge by it. Got these kind of like 6 guys looking at me. They all put their hands out. Hey, I'm this person. Hey, I'm that person. Hey, I'm Gage. Go around the group. And they all speak a little bit of English. Some of them not so much, but a little bit. Other ones very good with English. And they're all just talking. Oh, what's England like? Oh, we're jealous. And I'm shooting stuff back at them. We're having a really good conversation. And people trying to have a laugh with me. And I was like, this is really, really nice. And I just stood in these hills with like these 10 Greek lads that I'd never met before. And had seriously one of the best nights I've ever had in 26 years of being alive. So after yesterday's video, I didn't get up to much. I was asleep quite early, which is fantastic. I feel so much better today. I mean, it's now 1 o'clock, 10 past 1 in the afternoon, and I spent some time looking. And I kind of cleaned up the van a little bit. I know it doesn't look like it, but it actually is. For me, there's not much in North Greece. There really isn't. There's lots of little towns and villages, and yeah. And if I'm honest with you, from what I've seen, none of them really seem worth the while in stopping off and visiting. I mean, that sounds terrible, I know, especially because Greece is so historical and there's probably some amazing places. But with that being said and done, to get to Athens, which isn't even like, you know, when we get to Athens, which is like down, we're kind of like north, we come down here, then we got to go across. So we got like a lot of travelling to do in the south, really. And the last thing I want to do is, I'm a little bit worried because I'm doing this trip because there's no work at home, but people are starting to rumble about jobs possibly starting up in the next month or 2, stuff like that. So I kind of don't want to lose time on getting to Romania. I know I said that, oh yeah, let's go to Greece. I'm not trying to rush it, but for me, there isn't a lot left in the north to do. You know, I want to go to Athens, I want to see the Acropolis, then I want to move to the never eat shredded wheat, like the southwest, and we'll see that, and then we can start making our way back up. But that's the plan. So today I'm going to drive to the outskirts of Athens, and then tomorrow we will head into Athens, which will be really cool.